Now, for all that's been happening in Kaduna State over the handling of the state finances by former Governor Nasir El-Rufai, we are now being joined by Yusuf Mugu, a member of the Kaduna State House of Assembly representing Kaura constituency. Honorable Mugu is also Chairman, Public Accounts Committee of the State House of Assembly. Many thanks for joining us here on the morning show.
Good morning, all. Thank you for watching us.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. So I would like to start this conversation. We are looking into the $350 million World Bank loan taken out by the previous governor, Malam Nasir El-Rufai. But I also want to find out if the State House of Assembly is looking into the debts that were accrued before El-Rufai's time. I believe he met around $230 million in obligations by Kaduna State. So are those monies being looked into, or is it only Nasir El-Rufai's tenure as governor?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Well, government and governance is continuity. If there were other loans, depending on what the loans were used for, if they were utilized judiciously, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with loans if only they are used for the purpose they are meant for. There can only be something wrong with loans if they are not properly utilized, if they are misapplied or misappropriated. I am not alluding to anything that the last administration misappropriated or misused funds, but all we are saying is that there's a public outcry saying that the indebtedness of the state is too bogus. Recall, it has been there on the papers that the governor, indeed the current governor of Kaduna State, His Excellency Senator Obasani, has cried out during a town hall meeting to tell stakeholders and the general public about the finances of the state, in which case he mentioned a whopping sum of $587 million hanging on the state, and another whopping sum of 85 billion naira whooping on the state with about 115 contractual liabilities. Perhaps why the focus is on the last administration is that we've never had it that bad, that the loan lot on the state to have been to that quantum or to that kind of amount is unbelievable. But then, all that the House of Assembly is saying, that now that the governor of Kaduna State has cried out he's being real, he's being realistic, you have a problem, we don't expect him to sit and suffocate or die with the problem. He needs help because he can't run the state. Because salaries are supposed to be taken for granted. But for a sitting governor to cry out that he may not be able to continue paying salaries calls for attention and calls for concern, a reason why the House has to move the motion that the finances be looked into, the loans be looked into. Therefore, if there were other loans before his coming, but within his period and the period in view, the loans rose to an unbelievable, amount. I mean, the people can ask for accountability, transparency, and they want to know money for value.
Okay, if I can come in here, Chairman. Now, what steps exactly will the Public Accounts Committee take to ensure that the findings of this probe will lead to meaningful accountability and, if necessary, corrective measures for any uncovered financial discrepancies? And I would also like to ask what mechanisms will also be put in place to ensure that these findings and recommendations of the probe are effectively implemented so that it leads to tangible improvements in governance, in accountability, and continuous service delivery.
Well, as a House, it's our legitimate duty and a normal role supported by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, particularly 1999 Constitution as amended, for us to, if there are public, we are here, we are elected, we are supposed to serve the people, and when the people are complaining, we are not supposed to be insensitive, we are supposed to be sensitive to the thinking of the people. Whether it is wishful thinking or real, we need to investigate so that the thinking of the people and the assumptions will be cleared. I want to assure you that what the House is about doing and putting in the committee, which is supported by Section 103 of the Nigerian Constitution, that as a State House of Assembly we have the right to do so, is to ensure that if the accusations or allegations or permutation or assumptions of the people, the public, against the last administration, if they are not real, it's only through this process that we can confirm it. Mark you, don't underrate the capabilities of any state assembly, particularly that of Kaduna State. We do have people in various fields that are in the assembly, and it's a 13-man committee. If we are even short of knowledge, there are other mechanisms to employ to get the real facts and figures, so that the public would now know if the last administration utilized the money judiciously, the report would be so revealing. And as to how to implement the recommendation also, there are agencies that are concerned with that. And I can assure you that we will not leave any stone unturned. People that must have perhaps or probably falsely accused, they will be vindicated. But if there are those that will be indicted by our findings, we expect the law to take its course through the rule of law, meaning equality before the law.
All right, Honorable Mugu, I'd like to ask you two questions. The first will be to know why the House of Assembly is engaging in this probe at this time. Is it because the Governor Obasani cried out over the dead body in the state, or was this in the works before, given the fact that, you know, we're almost entering the 11th or the 12th month of the administration, almost a year into the life of this administration? Why is it that it is now that the House of Assembly is thinking of probing the financial books of the previous administration of Governor El-Rufai? Secondly, Governor Obasani said that about 7 billion out of 10 billion allocation for March from federal government went into debt servicing. But of course, part of what he also disclosed was the fact that, you know, the exchange rate is responsible for this type of figure. Will your committee factor this in, given the fact that when most of these loans were being taken, they were being taken at the cost of 4.30 to $1. Now the loan will be repaid, like most other states, like federal government, at more than 1,000 naira. So when you are thinking of the burden, maybe your committee should also consider the fact that exchange rate is also a factor as to why Kaduna State government is struggling to repay the loans.
Well, your first question as to why now, there must always be a beginning. If a reason does not arise that calls for investigation, we will not. But for a sitting governor to cry out that he cannot even pay salaries that are supposed to be taken for granted, it's not a joke. A governor, you know what I mean when I say a governor crying out. And not just the governor, the public have been complaining, perhaps because going around you see abandoned projects. Like I said elsewhere, when you see a contractor abandoning a site for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, it calls for concern. Like I said, money is for value. If a loan is taken, it's money. The value is to give services to the public or to the people you want to serve. And when people are there seeing that loans have been taken and some of the projects that they are supposed to be enjoying are not to be enjoyed and an administration has come and gone, it calls for concern. Because their hope would have been that loans in themselves, let me repeat, are not bad, but how they are utilized. If the money meant was to perhaps construct some bridges, and you go there, you are enjoying the bridge, it will be morally justified. But whereas in some cases, not all cases, yes, there were completed projects, but there are so many others that are appearing or seemingly abandoned, and the people are concerned. Therefore, it's not just why now. Why now is because the outcry is higher now and the volume is very high. And so we cannot sit and watch as an assembly. Secondly, you're talking of exchange rate. Well, that is also the reason why there's an investigative committee to find out what was the conditions of the loan, at what rate were the loans collected, and then within the period, of course, there are also even official rate, even as at then, of the loan collected. And there are markets, black market rates. It depends on how you want to use to do with your money at that point in time. Don't just look at the current situation because of the increase of the value of the dollar to the naira. As at when the loans were taken, you must also look what was the official rate, at what condition. And at that point in time, was it the raw loans taken based on official rate, or there were also exchanges of the value of the dollar then to a naira? So it's relative. Relativity also, don't just look at the current, maybe variation. But as at that time, even if there were the variation, the value of the naira was not the same. I therefore would want you not to be alluded by the current rise in the dollar. As at that time, relativity should come to play. What we are saying is that we are not already accusing anybody. These are just allegations or suspicions that probably the loans were not properly applied. And it's only just for us to vindicate the last administration that we investigate. Like I always say, if we investigate and we find out that indeed the loans were judicially used, there's no cause for alarm. But if we also find out that the loans were misapplied, misappropriated, or contractors collected the loans, the monies for certain projects or certain contracts and disappeared, then there is a cause for that. I don't want to preempt the outcome of the investigations, but we also do know we are within Kaduna, we are citizens of Kaduna, we are serving members of the assembly. There are probably, you may not also know, whether there are resolutions, because it's a precondition to collect any loan from any state governor or government. If you must collect loans, those loans, external in particular, are exclusive of the National Assembly members of that state to give the governor the go-ahead to take. But there is a guideline that says a resolution of the State House of Assembly is one of the requirements. It's one of the basic things to be considered, which means such loans, the desired loan, would have been discussed with members of the assembly, and they must have seen reasons to give the governor the go-ahead to collect such loans.
Well, thank you, sir. I want to ask the extent of the probe and how far you're going to draw the probe, especially in relation to the current governor, Uba Sani, who was, when the loan was taken, Senator Uba Sani, who fought for the loan and was quoted as saying that I even insist that I, Senator Uba Sani, be held liable if the governor, speaking about Maram El-Rufai, fails or disappoints. And he also spoke about how he assured his colleagues, both in the Senate and the House of Representatives, that it was not possible for Malam Nasir El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State at that point in time, to fail on the promises of his administration regarding the loan, the disbursement and the use of the loan from the World Bank. So does this probe extend to actually investigating your current governor, Mr. Uba Sani, as well?
Well, Dr. Obasani, Senator Obasani was not the governor then. He was only a serving senator who, in good faith, I want to tell you in good faith, stood for the governor, having demonstrated his desire to have the loan. Nobody is saying that the immediate past governor have misused any money. If Obasani promised and said that people should hold him responsible, God is having a way of working. We are not already saying the money or the loan was not properly utilized. We are only trying to find out. That is one. Two, the fact that Governor Obasani facilitated or helped in facilitating the loan, he might have done it in good faith. He might have done that in good faith. Of course, if he promised, because that was the only way to convince his other senators to see reasons on why his brother, his friend, his governor, as a then, should be assisted to get the loan for the development of the state. So both ways, it does not, we don't have reason, we don't have evidence now to show that Senator Obasani then, as a senator, did that in bad faith. He must have, and he could have done that in good faith. But then, none is also saying that even the past governor must have misused the money. But it's just that people are complaining, looking around, seeing abandoned projects, looking around, hearing the cry of the people, looking around to see that a state that is supposed to have a federation account money coming of about 10 billion to assist the state in both recurrent and capital projects.
Honorable Mugu,
but
can I
is now
confirm
crying that even the recurrent.
Yeah, can I confirm something? The abandoned projects.
Go ahead.
The abandoned projects that people are looking around and seeing, were they abandoned before the Obasani administration began, or have they just recently been abandoned?
No, some were abandoned before he came into power.
Okay.
And so the people are asking questions. Why are these projects not ongoing? Perhaps why, for instance, there were promises of metro, rail, development. Where is the rail? People are asking. If you told the people, look, I want to take this loan to improve our agricultural production, cows will be imported and they will be producing milk, and the people will enjoy the milk, and the people are not seeing the cows, nor the milk, nor even the farm being functional, they have reasons to ask questions. So I will keep reminding the general public that we should not preempt the outcome of our investigation, and let nobody underrate or undermine our investigations. Of course, whoever cares to know, this is not sentiment. We're talking of factual issues. We're talking of monies that we are really taking. The loans are not hidden. It's not suspicion about the loans we are taking. It's just unfortunate that people just even only focus on the $350 million loan. There were other loans taken by the state for different purposes. As a functional assembly, we need to find out, yes, this loan we are taking, we need to go back to perform our oversight function to confirm and be certain that the loans were indeed utilized for the purpose they were meant for. But if, for instance, you took $350 million and we discovered that only $200 million was utilized, we ask, where is the $150 million? From whom can we get it? Which contractor, which ministry, which department, which agency? This is where we are. So that the current governor can be assisted, should we recover anything from that, to put the state again functional. Because as it is now, financially, Kaduna State is comatose. Financially, Kaduna State is somersaulting. Financially, we cannot move. The governor is crying out, he cannot move.
Yes, I'd like to comment.
And therefore,
we're running out of time,
out.
Honorable. Well, considering the significant number of workers that were affected by the previous administration's actions, are there any steps, or what steps would I say should the current government plan to take to address the grievances of these workers and ensure their fair treatment in line with labor laws? Very briefly, as we begin to wrap up.
Happy enough, the labor organizations are working closely with the present administration. The OGP is working. We are working because this partnership with government. The labor matters are being handled. In fact, there are promises by the current administration that will have a second look into those who lost their job during the last administration. For those who will still have been in service and they have genuine reason to be recalled back, I am sure they will be recalled back. But you cannot recall back people when you are even finding it difficult to even pay those who are currently on the payroll.
All right, Honorable Mugu, just before we let you go, I'd like to quickly ask, You said that the action of your committee is in response to the crying out of the governor Obatoni. But then if the governor is saying that he's unable to pay salaries because 70% of allocation from Abuja is going into debt servicing, are you asking, not just as a committee, but as the entire House of Assembly, are you asking him how he's performing in terms of revenue generation? Given the fact that in the 2024 budget that is signed into law, budget of 458 billion 271,000 million and 299,000, a total sum of 57 billion is projected to be his IGR, which is far reduced, far lower to what El-Rufai did in his last 2 years. 77 billion in 2022, projected 88 out of the projected 88 billion, and 44 billion realized in the first 10 months of last year out of the projected 70.5 billion. So are you asking questions as to other areas of revenue from this administration, not just handouts from Abuja? So how far has he gone with his projections of 57 billion, IGR for this year? I'm asking that in line with what one of the sons of El-Rufai, Bashir, said about the fact that what your committee is doing and what the governor is saying, amounts to covering up incompetence. And incompetence will be when when you put that side by side with what you are projecting in terms of IGR and what you met on ground. Are you not supposed to be improving on the IGR that you met on ground? Those are the valid questions that Kaduna State indigents and citizens would also like to know.
Well, if Bashir had ever said so, let me start with the latter statement you made. It's an unfortunate situation because neither the governor nor the House of Assembly has anything to do with Bashir. If anybody is interjecting, yes, a citizen. But this is a specific matter, a crucial matter. I wouldn't expect people to be wet blankets, because what is his local standing in the matter? If anything, we are referring to the governor within the period in view. And incidentally, the governor within the period in view we're talking about was his father. So in any case, if we were to talk, we'll be talking with his father, who was a then governor, and not Bashir. 1. 2, the issue of IGR. Even if the current governor is interested in thinking that the IGR of the state, that is internal generated revenue of the state, should be the back, the fallback, unfortunately, and very unfortunately too, towards the last end of the last administration, the IGR of the state was used as collateral to collect another huge sum of 20 billion naira from Zenith Bank. By implication, if that was the collateral, it means whatever revenue generation the state is getting now goes to Zenith Bank until Zenith Bank has gotten the figure as agreed, either on monthly or on quarterly or on what basis, before anything, if left over, be given back to the state. Should the money not even reach their benchmark, it means we'll be paying interest upon interest, which is not good for the state. Therefore, the issue of IGR as a fallback for the current administration does not even look feasible, unless some magics could happen.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Honorable Mugu, for joining us on the morning show today.